Hello, my audience. I'm reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I give this a 10 out of 10 because I like this movie even though it has way too many characters. I think it's a more narrative-ridden story than Spider-Man No Way Home with Tom Holland. By most people considered his best Spider-Man movie on, I guess, now. Next to Homecoming here, some people say this, but honestly, I think No Way Home's kind of a bit of a cluttered mess. Just has 3 Spider-Mans for the price of one. As cluttered as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe a little more cluttered because it has 3 heroes. That is Spider-Man. It has 3 Spider-Man, so maybe it has more characters than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't know. I haven't counted that many. I haven't counted exact many. I just think they both have lots of characters, both movies. But I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a lot more than Tom Holland's movies and Maguire's movies that they were in. I give this a 10 out of 10. Even though it's a bit of a bloated mess like Batman Returns with Michael Keaton. But I say that's a classic movie in my eye. And a lot of people see that movie starting to see that movie more as a classic Batman Returns now these days. And starting to appreciate it more. Maybe in time people will start to appreciate Tom Holland's... Sorry, I meant Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2. Titled The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I give this a 10 out of 10. This is Andrew Garfield's reprising his role as Spider-Man, his Spider-Man, and even though he has a different costume than the one that he wore in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, but it's not explained why or mentioned he has a different costume, which I find that strange. How's not even explaining how he got that different costume, or how he invented it, or when he did that. I wish we could have had a flashback explain that movie open. You know, I think that movie should open. The movie should open up with Andrew Garfield making his new costume for the movie instead of opening up with a retelling, but told from the father's point of view of the origin story of why the parents leave and seeing it play out from the father's point of view, even the plane crash that they were in. Because that related to absolutely nothing to the film. Could have edited that out in the film and it would have been served better. Or you could have shot something that was related to the film, like him making his new costume for the movie, that he'll be his main costume for the entire movie. You know, the first Amazing Spider-Man showed him making the costume, his new costume for that movie. Why couldn't this one show him making a new costume for this movie? At least it would have made sense of why he has a new costume. That's more comic book accurate from the Ultimate Comics design based on what was the wide eyes and stuff. Looks very similar to how he's drawn in the Ultimate Comics. Which I like that design. I like that design a lot, but I just wish there was reason. I just wish there was like rhyme and reason for why he has a new costume. Like, even Batman Returns, it had rhyme and reason why he wore another costume that you see in Batman and Robin. The same Batman and Robin costume design you see in Batman and Robin with George Clooney is the same design that you see he wears in the third act of Batman that Val Kilmer played. And you see that you see that Michael Keaton he still wears the mic. And you know how, like, in the opening of the movie of Batman Forever, in the beginning of the movie, he wore the a design similar to the Michael Keaton design costume, but just has nipples on it for some reason. added to the costume besides abs and pecs. Wearing besides abs and I mean, I thought it was. I mean, I don't know why people thought it was weird that Batman have nipples in the costume. I mean, I thought it was just weird when he had just the abs on the costume over the costume. I mean, that was weird enough. Now it gets more weird when you add the nipples. But then it gets really weird in Batman and Robin when they add the nipples on top of the nipples on the costume. Like, they made a double nipple for George Clooney's Batman. They put nipples, like, you know how, like, they put nipples on top of nipples for George Clooney's Batman design for some reason. After Batman Forever wrapped it up, and I know I'm talking about Batman Forever, but the point is, I wish there was some reason, even no matter what the design is, I just wish there was rhyme and reason for this costume to have this redesign, other than just to squeeze in fan service from the Raimi fans, because he looks more similar to his comic book accurate costume. Because he looks more similar to the Raimi design. He looks more similar to it just feels like a not Raimi fan. I mean the comp. It's like it's just, I mean it's just like this feels like it's just for us. What's where I'm looking for? I just wish there was reasons on why he had some new costume Spider-Man in this movie. It just feels like pointless fan service to me. It is, but I mean, it makes sense because they did. I mean, they definitely did win a more realistic looking villain, Electro. Where Electro was always was obviously realistically a ridiculous looking villain before this movie. Let's be honest. Electro was a joke even in the comics. Electro was a joke in the comics even before before they made an adaptation with Jamie Foxx. They made him blue skin. You know what? Fuck it. It's less so than what he wore in the classic 616 comics. His costume design, his little design. In the design of the 616 costume design, he wore green tights and a mask that had a giant lightning bulb attached to it. The other mask, he wears green and yellow tights traditionally in the 616 classic universe that has a mask attached to it, and the mask looks fucking ridiculous because it looks like it has a shape of a lighting bulb covering of his face, and he has electrical powers, so he's called Electro. He calls himself Electro. Nobody else calls himself. I don't think anyone calls himself other than he thought he thinks it's cool. I mean, when you dress like fucking that ridiculous, you're going to be a butt of a joke, no matter what adaptation you're in. Fate has got that sealed. And I appreciate Jamie Foxx. I mean, is it Jamie Foxx tag?
Yeah. Yes.
Or I guess okay. I appreciate Jamie Foxx. I was talking to my dad just now, so I had to take a break from you. I appreciate Jamie Foxx for playing Electro, the butt of the joke villain he is in the comics. That's why his adaptation is perfect, and this is a better adaptation of Electro than the one that Jamie Foxx played in From No Way Home, because he made Electro cool in the Tom Holland movie. Electro's not supposed to be cool. He's supposed to be a butt of a joke villain, and he's supposed to look ridiculous in some form because he calls himself Electro, and his name's Electro. It doesn't. I like how the Amazing Spider-Man 2 shows most of the movie through Electro's point of view instead of Andrew Garfield's point of view. Yeah, the majority of the villains is a little different than the Amazing Spider-Man 1. How it was, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 was more like a point of view, narrow point of view of the hero. This was a narrow point of view of the villain's point of view of how he sees more than the movie develops more like Electro than Andrew Spider-Man. Was the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Because it focused more all on Electro becoming the villain and becoming the villain of the hero to the hero of the movie, and focus on more developing him, making him a sympathetic and relatable character by making him a fanboy of Spider-Man well, it's kind of like, I guess, like, edited. I mean, I hear a lot of this movie was edited out. This movie was edited out, and it seems like this Max Dillon, before his name's Max Dillon, before he becomes Electro, Max Dillon is kind of a loser who doesn't really communicate with anyone other than the people inside his head. So he's kind of a lonely fruitcake. That's a fanboy of Spider-Man, is because Spider-Man was like save his life and interact him, be friendly for a bit before going to save the day from this heist, car chase heist. That's where it starts him. Is pretty much his first nice, kind human connection that he had with someone. And it's kind of hinting at that he's kind of a lonely person, but I feel like I found out that got edited out a lot of the film was those deleted scenes. So I don't really blame this movie for bad directing or having no direction as much as I blame it for a Batman Forever syndrome, where it feels like everything that was important to the movie got edited down that needed to be in the film for it to make more sense. Was in the plot of the movie. Like character's motivations, and also the story of why the hell was Peter's father and his mother was in the movie for no reason again, other than just to see the plane crash from his father's point of view. It was because, later in the movie, in a deleted scene, his father was supposed to interact with Peter and give him a bit of a pep talk of go be Spider-Man, and to deliver the line, with great power comes great responsibility, and says, "I love you, son." It was a very nice deleted scene that was completely cut for no reason. Because it would have made sense for them to leave that in the movie. Heck, it would have been nice to see a director's cut of this movie. We're never going to see I don't think, because we're never going to see a conclusion to this movie. I mean, it would be nice if we saw a director's cut for both Spider-Man movies, because both Spider-Man movies are blamed for poor editing with the Andrew era. Because the things things that need more pay more stuff to make more full sense. Like the movies didn't make as much how they made Spider-Man when they hadn't had a certain character disappeared out of the movie, and he the one that Kirk Connors took while he would try to take him when turning into Lizard, and he disappeared in the movie for no reason, never came back in the movie. And it was supposed to be a very poignant key character in that movie. It was in the plot before he disappeared. So I found out in the deleted scene he was supposed to be later in the movie. I found they also even cut out a backstory for Kirk Connors to make him sympathetic to make him more sympathetic. They cut out his backstory of him interacting with his son, for him wanting to basically just touch his son and give a hold to his both arms and hug him, and because he doesn't have another arm, Kirk Connors, in the plot of Amazing Spider-Man 2, so that would make him more sense for him becoming the Lizard and keep taking the serum. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, I just feel like both Amazing Spider-Man from Andrew's era were really edited were poorly edited in the wrong places for no reason other than to make the film shorter because they didn't think that the audience would be patient enough to see a longer movie of Spider-Man. Anyway, that's my problem with Andrew Spider-Man's era. In a nutshell, it's my problem with Batman Forever. Like, Batman Forever was a good. I like Batman Forever and all, but I felt like this movie, Batman Forever, I feel like everything is tied with the Red Book, and the backstory was Bruce Wayne. Apparently, all of the dark the dark themes in the story, including with the Red Book and his parents, were heavily edited out in the movie of Batman Forever. I found all the dark storytelling elements were edited down for the movie. So I just feel like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 had that kind of faith of being edited down too quickly. Still, I give the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I give them a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. Because, I don't think, I'm ever going to get another Spider-Man movie that I'm going to get around ever in live action. Hype for. Unless it's Andrews, because he's the only one that kind of sold me on the idea that he's a good fit for Peter Parker and the Spider-Man persona, and can make them believable that he could pull off both. And I feel like Andrew made up for what Maguire was lacking when he took on the Spider-Man persona. And, well, I feel like Maguire could play the role of Peter Parker well. He couldn't play the role of the hero Spider-Man well, really. Because he never came across as really heroic. Like, or really got a bit of a cocky trash talker like Spider-Man's known for at insulting villains and getting on their nerves and treating it like a joke, the fight. And not really giving a shit. And towards the villains. And that's I feel like Andrew made up for what Maguire was kind of lacking in that element of the character. Like, I feel like Maguire could pull off the Peter Parker element perfectly well. And however, he can never pull off the hero element of Spider-Man really well. Because when he's Spider-Man, he has to put on a different persona than when he's Peter Parker in the comics. And also in every adaptation, I notice in the cartoons, he also has put on a different persona than he's as Spider-Man. Because as Spider-Man, he has to put on he has to play more of a wimpy kid as Spider-Man. Like, he's supposed to play like he plays a woman. That's how Maguire feel like Spider-Man. He's supposed to play the Peter Parker role as a wimpy kid and kind of a quiet version of himself. And he's basically supposed to be like a quieter kid as the Peter Parker persona, but supposed to be so I think with Maguire, he pulled that off well. When he played Spider-Man in the trilogy, he pulled off the wimpy, quiet part of Peter Parker and the persona, this civilian persona. But however, I felt like he didn't play this role of Spider-Man any different. Like, he played it still like Peter Parker, the role of Spider-Man. When you should play it more heroic, and like Spider-Man should be more heroic and more like a craving danger and going headfirst into action like an idiot. So I think with that being said, I think Andrew is the best Spider-Man, and also I think he's also the best Peter Parker because he could convince me he could be both Spider-Man and Peter Parker persona. Like he could play he does play Peter Parker as a quiet individual, more of an outcast, and written into the story because he got abandoned by his parents in the opening of the movie of The Amazing Spider-Man 1. And we see that more in the father's point of view and the mother's point of view from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 it opens up in. And including the plane crash we see. So, I like The Amazing Spider-Man 1 a little more than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Because I feel like The Amazing Spider-Man 1 was a better story about Peter than the sequel was a better story about the Peter. Because the sequel was more of a better story about the villain of the film, Electro, and also a better story about, even about the Green Goblin becoming the villain, who's Harry Osborn in this continuity. It was because it kind of it's kind of not as focused. For some reason, the director didn't, I don't know why, but for some reason, it's not as focused on what Peter's doing when he's not Spider-Man, other than stalking Gwen as Spider-Man after breaking up with her. And getting a call from him for a one-night date, and just for Peter to blow off Gwen and to save the hero, to be the hero of Spider-Man and stop Electro after makes his appearance in the film as Electro. You know, I just feel like most of the time was way too dedicated to the role of the villains of the film, and not enough to the role of the heroes, what the hero's journey is in this movie. And not saying that the villains are very balanced out and fleshed out enough. They're not really, because a lot of the stuff with the Electro is missing in the movie, and so is Harry Osborn. Stuff was a lot. You can feel like stuff with Harry Osborn is missing in the movie too. And you feel like the stuff is missing in the movie. We can tell it's missing in the movie when you're watching the movie. Okay. With The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and The Amazing Spider-Man 1, but more so with the sequel, is even worse editing and less engaging story, less of a story about Spider-Man, and has worse of editing than the first one had with Spider-Man, when the story was more about Spider-Man and him becoming Peter becoming the role of the hero. So, I wish there were director's cut to most of these movies. You know, for stuff to make sense enough. But I don't think that's going to happen, but I wish that would happen. I give The Amazing Spider-Man movie with Andrew Garfield, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, a 10 out of 10. Okay, that's my review on the Amazing Spider-Man movies, my audience. I hope you enjoyed this review. And that's why he's my favorite Spider-Man and Peter Parker of all time. In live action, Andrew Garfield is. I wish we had Amazing Spider-Man 3, but that's never going to happen. And I don't think Spider-Verse 3 is going to happen, or the Batman 2 is going to happen. Unless I see it come out in worldwide, everywhere, then I don't think it's going to happen. But I believe those movies are going to get canceled, but I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, I love the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. I give them a 10 out of 10, both movies. And, that's my review. And wrapping up, advertise my channel now, so subscribe to my content. Hit the thumbs up to like this content. Hit the content below. You can subscribe if you want to. Please subscribe to grow my subscribers, and you can comment below to let me know what you thought of this video. I hit comment section if you want to, or whatever, because I leave the comment section on. Now, bye.